Welcome, everybody. Attitude is everything, no question about it. So let me tell you a story, though. Have you heard the story of Harry and Larry, two little twin boys? They're about 11, 12 years old. And Harry was the eternal pessimist. Everything in the world that could go wrong for Harry went wrong every single day. And for Larry, nothing would go wrong. Everything Larry did in life was just fantastic. Every day, no matter what the weather was, what was going on with friends, every day was a great day for Larry, right? So the kid's dad said, I got to do something about Harry. I got to get him tuned up a little bit. He can't go through life this negative, right? So their birthdays are coming, and the dad decides to buy Harry everything. He buys Harry all the latest electronics, the Xboxes, all the games. He buys Harry a brand new bicycle, with all the latest features on it. He buys him a Daisy Red Ryder. I mean, he just goes all out, right? And so day of the birthday comes. Harry comes down the steps and sees all these presents for him. And he's like, oh, man, what? I don't know. What happens if I take this bike out and somebody steals it from me? Or if I do this or that, or that's not going to work, or I'm not going to have any friends. It just goes on with this rant about how negative things are. And Larry comes down the stairs, the optimist of the two, right? And for Larry, his dad bought him a whole pile of horse manure. And Larry's like, whoa! And he starts running into every room in the house and outside, and his dad catches him and he says, Larry, where are you going? He said, with that pile of horse manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. Right? And that is how much of our life is like that. That it's the lens that we look through in our life is what determines our happiness, our sadness, our negativity, or our positivity. So I've got a lot of stuff to share with you today, and I gave you all these cards. It's just if you get any ideas as you're going through the workshop, knowledge without action is delusion. So you can write the cards, more cards. Plenty. So if you get an idea, jot it down, because knowledge without action is delusion. So we'll hear a lot of stuff, but if we don't capture it, we have a propensity to lose it, right? So let me start with this slide. In fact, let me get a volunteer to read that slide. Go ahead,
The
Mindy.
greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes of mind.
So this is William James, a psychologist and philosopher of America. America's actually first philosopher and psychologist. And the fact that we have control over our attitude is huge. And when you proceed by looking at your attitudes and our ability to change them, that's really impactful, because we don't have to, wherever we are today, as Larry or as Gary said, we can get better and better and better all the time. In fact, there's no question about it. You're either going up the ladder of success or you're going down. You're growing or you're dying. You're either extinct or you're distinct. You're making an impression or you're not, okay? So what is an attitude? Here's a dictionary definition of attitude. Rebecca, can you read that definition for us?
A state of mind expressing a certain opinion, a position of the body that indicates a certain expression or opinion, posture, a feeling or emotion towards a fact or a state.
Yep. So what does that say to you? How does that speak to you? Anyone? This is the interactive part.
The way you carry yourself, how you appear to others, as well as how you feel about yourself.
Right. Absolutely. Great insight. So my mentor, Paul Meyer, says that an attitude is a recurring inclination. This is really important. To react in a certain way or to experience a familiar emotion each time you encounter a situation. So have any of you ever gotten triggered by friends, family, siblings, right? That's what happens. That's the way we react automatically. And it's attitudes of mental disposition toward events, people, behavior, and also, because attitude controls our behavior, it's critical to our success. Now, The most important thing about this is that attitudes are habitual ways of thinking, and they're at an unconscious level. So we don't think about them. Once we get, just like habits. How many of you drove here today? All right, how many of you have been driving for a while, right? When you got up this morning, did you get your key and say, oh, this is the key, where does this go, right? You probably drove here on automatic pilot, or if you knew where this place was. If you didn't, you're doing your Google Maps or Waze or whatever, right? And you're just automatically driving. You're not thinking about, you don't come up to a stop sign like you did when you first learned to drive, Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, right? They're rolling through stop signs, doing everything. And that's what happens because attitudes are habitual ways of thinking, just like behavior is a habitual way of thinking. Now, those are good things, certainly behavior, because if we had to learn how to drive every time we got in a car, it'd be a tough life. Or if you imagine you had to learn how to cut hair, how to be a stylist every time a new guest walked in, right? That would be a little challenging. So attitudes are very, very powerful, and they can help us move in the direction of the life that we want or away from the life that we want. So, attitudes being habits of thought, they work on us, they dominate. We are where we are and what we are because of the dominating thoughts in our mind. Where did we get those dominating thoughts? How do we become who we are today?
Family.
Yeah, family, the people that we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely, absolutely. So initially, you're right, it's family. It's all that mom, dad, aunts, uncles, that close family, right? That social familial conditioning, the family conditioning. And then as we grow, we get out and start playing with other kids, then it's the social conditioning that we're at. It's the environmental conditioning. So all that conditioning, right, is how we got to where we are today. Now, when we were born, what was on our brain? Not much, right. Right. It was pretty much a blank slate. We became who we are because of those conditioning opportunities, right? So we have to look at, were they healthy and resourceful or not? And sometimes, in many cases, they weren't. So how do we go through life becoming the best version of ourselves, like Gary said, or just kind of going through life on automatic pilot? And it's easy. It's so easy to do this, and that's exactly why people just go. In fact, this is called a rut, which is actually a grave with both ends kicked out. We're not learning, we're not growing, we're not developing our relationships and things like that. So that's what happens. If you look at Paul Meyer is a mentor, and he started Success Motivation Institute in 1960 with the sole purpose, the sole idea that most people have a tremendous amount of potential, right? And psychologists and brain scientists today tell us this, that we use maybe 5 to 10% of our potential, which means we have a lot of potential there. When you get caught in this rut, though, it's very difficult to even think about potential, right? Because you're just kind of on automatic pilot going through every day, day in and day out. And we are where we are and what we are because of the dominating thoughts in our mind. And those dominating thoughts being at an unconscious level, right? We have to really wake up if we're going to change those. And here's the big question. What's the big question? Can we change those thoughts? And if so, how, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. So how many of you would like to have a better life? Show of hands. Oh, look at that, almost unanimous there. That is unanimous. Okay, okay. So we're going to give you some ideas and thoughts today, some great takeaways, and I want you to think about how you can use them, all right? So I'm going to give you a lot of stuff, way too much stuff to implement and to act on, and that's why I printed little cards. So you could have, better to get 1, 2, or 3 ideas and take action on them than to have notebooks full of ideas that you take no action on, right? I mean, I'm the king of that. I got notebooks, and I'm going through my files now. I'm thinking, yeah, I gotta start thinning this stuff out. I've got 4 4-drawer file cabinets full with notes from conferences and workshops that I've been through and ideas that I've been saving. I'm like, oh my God, you know, I gotta thin this stuff out. I gotta take and sort it and say what's really, really important, what's critical, what are the critical success factors, and what is just the other stuff, right? And get rid of the other stuff. So it's a challenge because every day we're looking at, how do we go? I need a volunteer to read this slide. Great, thank you.
Every change in human attitude must come through internal understanding and acceptance. Human beings are only known creatures who can reshape and remold themselves by altering their attitudes.
Yep. So what do you think of that? Let's talk about that for a moment. It's really, really important. Yes,
I think
Mindy.
you can have a conscious choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you can, if you can turn and look at yourself in real honesty,
Right,
you can choose to change it, to change how you perceive things.
right.
And perception is everything.
Yes, it is. So I would think that's key, the willingness to look at yourself and say, what are the best attitudes I have? What are the best habits I have? What do I need to do to get better? What else? Anybody else? Another, yes.
I feel like sometimes as like humans, we look to other people to help us fix
Right.
ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like they can only give you advice, but
Right.
you're the one that needs to take that advice and actually switch what you're doing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. A la today's workshop.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of ideas, a lot of cool stuff, and we're going to go to a lot of experts to get their opinions, but you're the only one that can do it. So I got to tell you just a little bit about where I come from, because it's like, well, what is my ability to stand up here and speak about attitude? Well, I got caught in this rut a little bit. Only it was a rut of making money. I worked in the wholesale distribution business for 25 years. And it was just all about making money. It was like one goal: in God we trust, all others pay cash. It was make money, make more money, make more money. All my sales team were on straight commission. It was all about money. It was like if you've seen the movie the Wolf of Wall Street, right? What's that?
I said love.
Yeah. So it was a little bit like that. It was a very small wholesale distributor, and we were drinking and doing drugs. And I mean, in those days, you could smoke cigarettes in your office. You'd come into our office. We had 10, 15 salespeople on the phone, and there'd be a cloud of smoke. Not from weed, because we just did that after work in the warehouse, but this was from Marlboros and Camels, right? It was insanity. But it was just like we were moving and grooving and making money, and everybody, allegedly life was happy, right? Everybody was buying new cars, and the salespeople were happy. My boss was happy because we kept bringing the inventory in and shipping it out, right? So he was in love with me. No one said a thing. I had no idea that the damage I was doing to myself. But drinking, doing drugs, I mean, not everybody, most of the salespeople were doing it, and nobody cared because we were making sales. But what happened was, as I moved on this rut, right, of just making money, in a sense, you talk about being laser focused on your goals. I was on one goal, make money. And I thought if I had enough money, then I could buy the stuff I wanted, the Corvette and the Jaguar and the Mercedes, and put my kids through private school. And I did all that. But what happened was all of that blew up. In 1992, everything blew up. And I just was like, I got clean and sober. I went into AA. I didn't even know what AA was because I was in therapy because my life was just a little screwed up, right? And the therapist said, "Oh, you need to go into AA." And I said, "I got my AAA card right here, right?
Right.
Carry it around with me all the time." She said, No, not AAA, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And that for me was a decisive moment when everything for me changed. And my attitude was not a good attitude. It was really a bad attitude. It was the stream of negativity that ran through me was deep, and it was really negative. So it was all, and I thought I was doing good because I was helping myself. I was making more money, help them make money, because I thought that was it. Money was the answer to all my problems. Unfortunately, money wasn't the answer to all my problems, and everything blew up. I got divorced, lost the house, went bankrupt, everything, and then and all this actually is as I got into AA. And I would go in AA, if you know anything about it, you get a sponsor, like a mentor, and you talk to them. And after about a year, 2 years into it, then I even lost my job, and I would be crying on my mentor's shoulder. You son of a bitch, you told me it was going to get better, it was going to get better, it's getting worse, it's getting worse, right? And I mean, this went on for a couple years. So he just said, keep coming back, it's going to get better. And it was unbelievable. I don't know what, I know what carried me through those early days was faith. That was it. It was simply a belief in my higher power, because there's no way that I could do that on my own, right? I was just completely spent. I was wasted. I was wrung out like a washcloth, and I just kept coming back. And thank God I had this great sponsor, because he had me going to meetings like KYW News 1 time, 2 times, 3 times a day, 4 times a day. And but I did that, and then I started everything started to shift for me. So what really started the shift was moving away from negativity towards more optimistic life and looking at things differently. So the optimist sees the rose and not its horns. The pessimist stares into the horns, oblivious to the rose. Khalil Gibran is a philosopher from Persia or the Middle East somewhere, or Lebanon, I think maybe. But it's so true. We have a choice. We can look and say, yeah, that's a beautiful rose, or, oh my goodness, you know, those thorns are going to cut me or scrape me or whatever. And that's when things started to shift for me. I started to look at life through a lens of looking for the good stuff, looking for the rose instead of always looking for the negative. The next thing is the glass. Is the glass half full or half empty? What is it? Half full? Depends on what's in the glass. If it was vodka, it was half empty. Yes, yes. So again, I think it's our perception and how we look at these things. Is there an opportunity there? Yeah. You know, if it's filling up, you better believe it. But everything we do in life is filtered through our attitude. You know, acknowledging that and being aware of that, I still get tripped up. I mostly get tripped up when I'm driving. I'm pretty good, you know, the rest of the time, but when I'm driving, like up 202, 2-3 lanes, right, 65 miles an hour, and I'm in the left lane, the far left lane, just all I want to do is do my 60, 65, 70, 80, and just get to my destination, right? But who's in front of me? Someone doing 40 in the high-speed passing lane, and then I finally am able to get around them, and what do I see?
Them on the phone.
Yeah, them on the phone. You got it. Yeah, Rebecca's got it. Yeah, they're on the phone texting or something, right? So they're totally not, they're on autopilot going to where I don't know, but that's a trigger for me. So I have to just like, I really have to reset that button all the time, and I'm trying to reset that button, but it's a challenge to change ingrained habits. So as we go through life, attitudes, both negative or positive, are ingrained. They're unconscious, and that's the key. We're going to look at some differences here of positive attitudes and negative attitudes and what the difference is. So if you look at people with a positive attitude, can everyone see that? These kind of people walk into the room and breathe life into the room, right? Everybody's excited that they're there. And then on the other side, these kind of people walk into the room and drain all the life out of the room, right? They suck all the energy out of it. You know some of those people too, right? Okay. Next is optimists or risk takers. They're willing to take a risk. If you're going to grow, what do you have to do? Take a risk. Absolutely. You can't grow without taking a risk. To get off of this track, you got to step out of your comfort zone a little. And stepping out a little bit is the best way, because if you step out too far, then sometimes you bounce back. You want to just do it progressively, right? People that play it safe all the time, they don't grow. They're on that track. People who are persistent. They persevere. They set a goal, and then they keep working towards it. Does everything go smooth for them? No, they got all kinds of obstacles and roadblocks, but what do they see? Yeah, they see that most people that I work with have converted the word obstacle into just a minor setback. It's like I hit a pothole on the road, or it's a fodder it's the information for me to make a better decision to move forward with my goal, right? I know what's getting in the way and I know what I have to do. Pessimists give up, they quit. They hit a roadblock and boom, they're done. If you look at being an optimist, these people lift other people up. They're always there to lift them up. And the negative people, the pessimists drag everybody down, right? If you look at, again, optimistic people, they inspire and energize. Give me an example in your own life of somebody who inspires you, who energizes you. Yes?
So my mother's in AA.
Okay.
9 years sober.
Okay, cool.
And she's the one that always, like, if I'm going through something, I'll call her and I'll go, I need you to say something positive.
That's cool.
She's very much one
Yeah,
that
yeah.
always inspires me.
That's awesome, that's awesome. So and isn't it, how does it feel to have a person like that, a go-to person?
All my siblings are the same way with her too.
Yeah.
There's 4 of us, and we were sitting there last night at dinner saying how my mom's like the therapist.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time something comes up, we're all calling her.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
I don't know how to handle this situation.
Right, right. So cool. All right, anybody else? Come on, think about it.
My mom's very similar to how she described me and my siblings. I'm very glass half full. I actually say it to my kids too. But she's always very like, if you come to her with a problem, she'll say, well, if that's the worst thing that happened to you today,
Right.
you're pretty lucky. And I've learned that perspective
Yes.
my whole life. Like, you can't really perspective, everything. And you can be like, poor me, or you can be like, you know what,
Yeah.
this wasn't that bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody, this was meant to happen because I was meant to be late, so I didn't get in a car accident, or, she's always taught me to look at it
Yeah.
the other way.
Yeah, how true it is. It is perspective.
Yeah.
My daughter will call sometimes and I'm like, Nicole, that's a first world problem. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Look at the whole world, 7 billion people, right? And in fact, I was at a workshop, and this young man, it was a health workshop. I needed to, look at my health. I don't want to look at that, but I needed to get in better shape. And he said, everybody in this room, the whole room, there's like a couple hundred people, right? He said, you're all the upper 1% or the upper 5%. I was like, I don't see all the millionaires and billionaires in this room, right? But he made the point that of the 7 billion people, we in America, almost no matter where we are, we're the lowest of us or the worst off of us are better than most people in those third world countries. And have any of you been to a third world country?
I used to do mission trips with my church. I
Yeah.
went to Haiti.
Yeah.
And it's just like, they're so happy with absolutely nothing, and then there's people here who are absolutely miserable. We have everything, and it's just like they're sleeping in like mud huts, and
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Those people are inspiring to me.
Yes,
because
yes.
They know how to make it work with nothing.
Absolutely, absolutely. My wife drugged me off to El Salvador. That was the first trip out of this country. 9 days, the same experience. They were the most happiest people I've ever seen. They were living in nothing, mud huts or corrugated aluminum that was ripped off of a truck or something, or lean-tos. Yet they were happy. They were singing. They had no electronics. And Mother Teresa called that. She said, those people in the third world are happy poor, and our people in America are angry poor. And there's a lot of truth to that, right? Why don't I have the latest and greatest iPhone or Samsung? Well, is it really that important in the big picture of things? So perspective, you're talking about perspective. That is so powerful for all of us to look at. A couple years later, fast forward, she drags me to a refugee camp in Thailand. The Burmese people in Burma, the ethnic groups, there's a bunch of ethnic groups, and the Burmans controlled the country, military dictatorship, and they were just doing a complete extinguishing of all the ethnic tribes. They were just going in there and killing them all. So they wandered into Thailand, thank God. There's like 10 huge refugee camps with like 10,000 to 40,000 people in a refugee camp. She said, I got a great idea for a vacation. I'm going to take you over to Thailand to work in the refugee camps with the ethnic Karen and other people that were, run out of Burma. And then you could teach them all about leadership and goal setting, which I did, and it was great. And they were like so into it. It was unbelievable. those people were just, since they have so little, when you bring them something like that, they just were over the top grateful for it. So it does give you a tremendous amount of perspective when you see those people. So if you can do any kind of work, whether it's going down to St. John's Hospice in Philly, it's a great place to go to feed the homeless for a day or for a couple hours. It's incredible. I did that experience a couple weeks ago. Like 200 and some odd men come through the line, and you're just, all you're doing is feeding them, and they're so grateful, right? Because they have nothing, and somebody is there feeding them one solid meal a day, and man, they're like, another scoop, another scoop. You fill those plates up to the brim, and they knock it all off. It's probably their one meal of the day, right? But they are so grateful. It's so incredible to watch as they come through the line, and how, you know, they're living on the street, yet they're happy and they're grateful that this St. John's Hospice is there to feed them and take care of them. Takes care of the sick for them too. So anyway, let's go back to this. Negative people deflate people to new lows, okay? Optimists build people up, and the pessimists tear people down. Open-minded and creative versus narrow-minded. Open-minded is a critical success ingredient for us, because you got to be open-minded to try any of this stuff, right? If you're going to go on a mission trip like you did, and you've got to be open, because you're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're not going to a mission trip in the Four Seasons Hotel, right? You're going to get dirty, you're going to get dusty and things like that. But the change, right? When you come back, how do you feel?
I felt grateful for what I had, because it was mostly kids that we were working with a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of them didn't have their parents, and it was like it was like a church that we were kind of doing it for. Like, we were rebuilding it and stuff.
Yeah.
So it just made me grateful to like have my mom, and then like have my grandparents and all that stuff,
Yeah.
because they don't have absolutely anything. So
Yeah.
it makes you look at the bigger picture rather than being so,
Right.
oh, I had a bad day, I hate my life.
Yeah, right. I think that's so true. You're looking at the world through a 30,000 foot lens, or even a bigger lens, right, rather than a small, short lens. Optimistic people always exceed expectations. They're the ones you want on your team, right? Negative people rarely do. People have a higher self-esteem who are more positive, right? More things going right. What happens when things go right for you? You feel confident. Then how confident are you to stretch your comfort zone a little bit, right? So it becomes a positive spiral, if you will. So you step out of your comfort zone a little bit, you do something, just a little something, and then you get some positive feedback from that. You capture that and capture it and move forward. Tons of research on optimistic people live longer, are healthier, and pessimistic people do not do as well health-wise. And again, the research today, I mean, people are going to college and universities and doing all this research, but the feedback is tremendous about how that can change our lives pretty dramatically. People who are optimists always think of the possibility. What can I do with? How could I do this? Who would ever have thought that we would have a space program, SpaceX, by Elon Musk? A civilian, not military. I mean, obviously we know our military is involved in the space program and NASA and everything. But here's a guy who says, just a regular guy who's a possibility thinker, thinks outside the box. Hey, why don't we just send that spaceship up there and see? And you know what happened to the cost of the spaceship after Elon Musk got involved?
It went out.
Well, the cost of launching went way down. Because they were just doing more, using better materials and all. They found the way to whereas the government didn't. I guess they weren't on that same budget that he was on, right? So he figured out a way. How do I do it better, cheaper, faster, and move forward with it? So this is really important. Optimistic people are more in control of their reaction to events. All right, whereas pessimistic people feel victimized. They feel like they're they blame the rest of the world. They definitely get hung up on that. So let's talk. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to move on a little bit, but there's a great story about happiness being an inside job that I thought was pretty. It just made me stop and think for a moment. But I'll share this story with you. There was a little 92-year-old petite woman who was fully dressed every morning, hair all made up, makeup made up, looked like $1 million, but she was legally blind. And her husband of 70 years had just passed away, so she was moving into assisted living so they could take care of her, right? And she's met at the door by a social worker who's going to take her up to her room, and the social worker starts telling her about the room and the decorations and the pictures and the flowers and all the things that were there. And the 92-year-old said, "Oh, it's just the way I saw it in my mind," right? She had such a positive mental attitude that, and she moved into to the nursing home because she lost her husband. Otherwise, she would have stayed with him, right? It's such a great story about happiness is an inside job. It's not on the outside. It's all about it's internal, right? It starts here and it moves out. And if you got the right attitude, you're going to impact a lot of people in a positive way. And people we don't even know. We just don't know, and we'll probably know sometime, but we don't know how we impact these people. So we may as well, we're better off doing it with a positive attitude, right? All right, so talk about scientific studies. I'm going to go through some of these slides. I want to talk about this one. Why is our attitude important? So we kind of know just instinctually that attitude is important, right? When you go to Wawa and you get or when you go anywhere and someone smiles and says good morning or how are you doing or have a great day, right? How do you feel?
Respected.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you feel when you get somebody that's just so miserable?
Not good.
Yeah, yeah. If you're at a restaurant, does the attitude of the waiter or waitress impact the tip that you're going to leave? 100%. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And it's sad because people with a bad attitude, they don't get big tips. A lot of times I'll meet business people just for a coffee, right? So sometimes, not many, but a waiter or waitress will be like, "Oh, you're just having coffee? You're going to take up my booth here and just have coffee?" Yeah, we just had breakfast at the last meeting, so I'm not going to have breakfast again. It's too early for lunch or whatever. We're just going to have coffee. But the ones that have a great attitude, and that person gets, like 15% tip, right? But a person that comes over, waiter, waitress, says, "Oh, no problem," and they keep bringing the coffee back, like it's unbelievable. So we give them like a $5 or even a $10 tip because their attitude was like, not that we're taking up space or we're bothering them or we're an interruption in their day, but we look at it through the lens like they're happy to see us, no matter what we're ordering, no matter what the tab is. And that is reflected in the tip to them.
I witnessed that firsthand recently. I have 4 stylists right now, including me, and 2 of them ended up in the hospital at the same time. So we were really down to like nothing. And I just treated everyone the same way I would. Greeted them, like, everyone. And I'll tell you, people were tipping so much more just because I didn't get like, you know what I mean? Like I was just like, no, like treating everyone the same way I would as if there was no way fully staffed. And it really, I was like, wow, people really, because I do. When I go somewhere and someone has an attitude, I'm like,
yeah,
it's not my fault you don't like your job. Like,
Right, exactly.
And it was the same, like, I just made the best, and people really did, like, tip me. Like, someone I never even did before, like, $10, $15 on a haircut. And I was just like,
so what is that?
Yeah.
That's a great.
And I realized it was my attitude of how I approached the situation.
Right.
Rather than it letting it,
Yeah.
get to me.
So I think that's important for all of us to connect those dots because I think it is that impactful. What's the average tip on just like the regular, whatever, $17, $20 haircut, not with coloring and $5? $5. And then how is that for the rest of you, is that tip impacted higher or lower with your attitude? Do you track it and watch it? Yeah? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. What does it go up to? Like, what's the...
50. I've gotten a $50 tip.
Same.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's true.
anybody else? So here's a poster, children, for $50 tips, and yeah. So that, I think that says it all.
Right.
That really says it all about attitude. It's so impactful. And then this research, 94% of all Fortune 500s attribute most of their success to attitude. And again, study after study after study shows that skills are important. Obviously, you have to know how to cut hair, right? If you cut somebody's hair all wrong and cut their ear off like Vincent Van Gogh or something, it's probably not going to give you a big tip, right?
No, we keep extra ears in the back.
Yeah, you do? Okay, good. But the point is that we have to have some skills, right? And we're always learning skills. But our attitude is going to carry us further than our skills are going to carry us. And what happens if we have a great attitude? Are we going to be more open to or less open to learning new skills? Yeah, we're going to be more open to it, absolutely. We're going to want to get better and better and better. We're going to want to know and be the best version of ourselves in the world we live in, and that's going to definitely impact our income. So I think that's important as you go through the workshop today. Think about how these things happen to you in real life, and how can you duplicate them. You want to duplicate what's working and driving you towards success, and minimize or get rid of what's not working in life. Figure out how do I minimize that and focus on your strengths all the time. Let's take a look at we're going to pass through this and this. Okay, Odo. This is powerful. Outlook determines outcome. This you should just write down. Outlook determines outcome. Every day, in every way, what we see and how we interpret what we see impacts what we're going to do and how we're going to achieve what we want. So our outlook determines our outcome. And the Buddha says we are what we think all the time. In fact, there's philosophers and spiritual people all over the world. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, from the Bible. But you could go to any religion and find those verses loaded with them, that as we think in our head, as we think in our heart, that's the way we interpret the world. So how do we change the way we think?
Make a conscious choice.
Yeah, make a conscious choice. This is a great book. It's loaded with quotes from people all over the world. And you can look in here, and it's in alphabetical order, and you're having a down day or something, boom, or just a little bit. You can go here and feed your head all the time. Constantly feed your head good stuff, because garbage in, garbage out, outlook determines outcome. What are you putting in? Well, how are you feeding your head if you want to have the best outcome possible, right? That makes sense? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, Viktor Frankl. Has anyone ever heard of Viktor Frankl? Okay, this gentleman is a survivor of the concentration camps in Germany in World War II. And he wrote this book after he got out. He survived. He was the only survivor in his family. He lost his wife, his children, his mom and dad, everybody in the entire family. But he he's passed away now, a psychiatrist. And he felt that people, even in these dire conditions, and I had the opportunity to go to Dachau with my children and go through another experience that absolutely positively shifts your heart and head. You can't go through that a concentration camp without coming out the other end a different person. So Frankl, Viktor Frankl, is a poster child for someone who's went through hell on earth. I mean, he just went through the worst conditions that anybody could go through, right? That unimaginable what people could do to other people. And he survived that. And what he did was he would since he was a psychiatrist, and he was already working on a book before he went into the concentration camp, he really studied the people. And he found that people who had, I mean, they were getting nothing, no food, right? But the people that would, the little that they got, would share that with another person, right? He felt that the camp guards could take everything away from people except their personal freedom. And when you think about those, we think about, I got a parking ticket, or I got a flat tire, or, all the first world problems we have. My computer doesn't boot up, or my, whatever, right? And then we think about those conditions, how they survived. But he felt that people who had some meaning, some reason to survive, to live on after the experience, they had a much greater chance to survive than other people. And he would watch people when the war was, they thought the war was coming to an end. If they thought the war would end like in March and it didn't end, those people lost all their hope and died within a month of their dates. But this is what Viktor Frankl said. Can I get a volunteer to read that? Someone else, someone who hasn't read yet. Julia.
Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Even though conditions such as lack of sleep, insufficient food, and various mental stresses may suggest that the inmates were bound to react in certain ways, in the final analysis it becomes clear that the sort of person the prisoner became was the result of an inner decision, and not the result of the camp influences alone.
So what does that say to you? How does that speak to you? What is the message that you're walking away with?
Freedom is a state of mind.
What's that?
Freedom is a state of mind.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's more of a state of mind than anything else, because the camp guards, no matter what they did, could not take their freedom away from them, their belief system. What else?
Choosing to be positive.
Yeah, it's choosing
Right.
the attitude that we're going to have no matter what happens to us. And if we do that, then no one can impact our attitude, right? No matter what happens.
Mine, right.
Yeah, it's my attitude, and it's coming from inside me. What else? How about this side of the room?
Finding a way to just keep going, just keep the strength and
Right,
ability to look past the situation you're in.
right. When people step out of themselves for whatever, whether it's feeding the homeless or doing some social justice work or any kind of charity work, things shift, and they shift pretty dramatically and pretty fast, because who are we concerned about when we're doing that kind of work?
Other people.
Other people. So we're not self-centered. We're not letting our own ego run the show. We're stepping out and we're helping other people. And that's what he found throughout the. This is one of the most powerful books. If you've not read it, if you only read one more book in your lifetime, I would put this on that list, Man's Search for Meaning, because he talks about the whole experience, and it's just one example of another of how people under those dire conditions can come out with a great attitude, right? Not that you want to go there to come out with a great attitude, but that is the impact on that. So once again, outlook determines our outcome. Accountability is a key measure here in our ability to achieve the goals we want and the attitude we want. Can I get a volunteer to read that slide? Anyone? Thank you.
Accountability, an attitude of continually asking, what else can I do to rise above my circumstances and achieve the results I desire? Is it the process of seeing it, owning it, solving it, and doing it? It requires a level of ownership that includes making, keeping, and proactively answering for personal commitments. It is a perspective that embraces both current and future efforts rather than reactive and historical explanations.
So, what does that say to you? Here, Kayla, here's a gold dollar for you for reading that.
So if I don't know it's broken, I can't fix it,
Right.
right? And like
Right.
seeing it, like paying attention to what it is you're thinking, what it is you're feeling, how you react to it, being responsible for it, figuring out a solution for it, and then following through on it.
Yep, absolutely. What happens when I ask the question of the group? If I ask you a question, what happens? Sometimes. What? Somebody answers it, right? And maybe even some of you who are not answering it, right? Are you thinking about it in your own head? This would be yes, okay. So I ask a question, you're thinking about it. This question, what else can I do to rise above my circumstances and achieve the results I desire, is the critical question, because who are we asking that of? Ourselves. And what happens when we ask ourselves a question? Yeah, our brain goes to work immediately to help us answer that question. If I don't ask this question, and I keep asking the question, why are all those a-holes in the high-speed fast lane texting on their phone when I'm driving and I need to get somewhere, right? That's a bad question. That's a bad attitude. But if I say, what can I do? Can I drive a different route? Can I leave earlier? Can I, what are the things that I have control over that I can do within myself to move to where I want to go, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So what else can I do? Always, and you know what, no matter what circumstances we're under, if we can ask ourselves that question, any question, and I'm sure when the alarm went off this morning, what question did you ask yourself? Do I really have to go? Do I really have to get out of bed? Why did I set the alarm this early, right? Whatever. If we're asking, yeah. And then we're an hour forward, right, and everything. So we're asking ourselves questions all the time. What we want to do is take charge of the questions we ask. We want to be responsible and ask ourselves better questions over and over and over again, so that, why would we want to ask better questions? Let me ask you that.
You get a better answer.
Yeah, and who's coming up with the answer? We are. And if we come up with the answer, whose answer is it? Mm-hmm. And are you more likely to take action on your own idea or my idea?
Your own.
Your own, right, absolutely. That's why even like you're a manager,
Yes.
so you have other folks working for you. You're way better off asking them questions to get them to do what you want rather than you just telling them. Now, obviously, that's a challenge because you could just tell them, do this or do that, right? And it's done. But if you ask questions, you might have to ask 2 or 3 or
Hold them
4.
accountable too, so instead of telling them to do something, say, well, how can we get you on board to do that?
You got it.
Because then now they have to.
Yes. And as soon as they do it, it's their idea then. Oh, I need to come in earlier, set my alarm earlier, I do it, whatever it is, right? Once they come up with the idea, they're going to be the ones that are going to take ownership of it. But if we, because I see it all the time with managers, all the time. I tell them what to do, I get paid, I don't know why. It's because you're telling them, you're not asking them. You're not asking for their input. They don't own it. It's your idea. It's like telling your kids to clean up the room, right? Clean up the room, clean up the room, clean up the room. What happens when they don't clean up the room?
You get in trouble.
They get in trouble. What else happens? Who cleans the room? Right? And then why should they clean the room then if you're going to clean it?
Yeah, they're not going to.
Exactly. And that's what we do with our employees. We keep saying, do this, do that, and then we make up for it. We help them out. We bail them out. Well, whatever. So it's really important that you ask questions to get them engaged. Can we just keep going? Everybody just go to the restroom as you need to? Or okay, good. All right. So let me, so there's 20 bullet points that we're going to talk about. How do you actually develop a positive mental attitude? So we're going to go through these right now. The first thing is take ownership of your life, okay? You and only you are totally responsible for the results that you're getting in life, okay? No matter what we would like to think, or we are at the cause of the results that we're getting. The minute that we accept that decision, what happens?
You take responsibility.
Yep, we take responsibility, but what happens to our life?
It's better.
It gets, yeah, absolutely it gets better, because we know that whatever the outcome we want is determined much more by the input that we're putting in, right? Outlook determines outcome. Attitude is how far we're going to go in life. It's the key factor. So the minute that we take responsibility for our own attitudes, life will start to get better for you. The next thing is have humor and have fun, have a sense of humor. Laughter is a magic ingredient for us. There was a doctor, Dr. Norman Cousins, and I forget, he got some disease, cancer or something, right? Went into the hospital, and he wasn't doing very well. The success rate wasn't going very well. So he checked out of the hospital, and he checked into the Four Seasons. And as he checked into the Four Seasons, he bought a stack of DVDs with him. And those DVDs were all Cheech and Chong, the Marx Brothers, every comedian and every comedic movie that you could think of. And he's done a lot of research on this, and he's not the only one, that he feels that laughter, I mean, and all he did was watch movies, order room service, watch more movies, day in and day out, like 24/7, aside from the time that he slept. And he says that the research shows too today that laughter actually changes us on the inside. It changes everything. You can't be in a bad mood laughing at a comedy. And what happens was there's another doctor who did tremendous amount of work with cancer patients, Bernie Siegel, MD. And he said, show me a patient that is able to laugh and play, who enjoys living, and I'll show you someone who's going to live longer. Laughter makes the unbearable bearable. A patient with a well-developed sense of humor has a better chance of recovery than an individual who doesn't, who seldom laughs, right? So think about, how do we bring humor into our everyday situations, our home, our family, our work, right? How do we bring humor into it? That's a powerful game changer for everybody. What's that? Who's?
I thought you were asking for examples.
Yes, good. Let's have some.
So at our salon, we have like the internet radio, and sometimes it'll like go in and out, and it'll. It's just glaring at me.
Sometimes.
So she knows what I'm gonna say. So Katie was new. So every like new girl that I have come in, the internet will like go out and it'll be completely silent and awkward in the salon. So I'm like,
Makes us think of
I go, oh, okay, now you have to play, now you have to sing karaoke, you gotta finish the rest of the song. And when she was new, she looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, I'm dead
looked at her and I
serious.
was like,
need
I'm
you to
not
sing."
doing that.
Yeah. So how cool is that? So what happens now when the music goes out?
I say it all the time. The girls are just roll their eyes at me, but like the customers will laugh, and I'm like, well, somebody has to start singing.
And does somebody start singing?
Sometimes.
Sometimes
Yeah.
the customers
Yeah,
will.
sometimes
They'll get
the
into
customers
it
start
sometimes.
singing.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you ask the question, you put it out there, and they don't want it to be silent. So you're right. What a great insight. Here you go. There's a gold dollar for you.
You're gonna come sing with me? Yeah, we do. We sing and dance at her salon too.
Yeah. So I think that's a great example too of how we can put exactly what we're talking about right now into action, right? This is not theoretical stuff. And if it's only theoretical stuff, it's not going to do you any good. You have to look at how can you put this stuff into your world, into your action, okay? This is another one, live by your values. Think about what your values are, right? If you haven't done the values work, and you got to get them written down, because if you don't write them down, it's just another thought with the 50, 60,000 thoughts that roll through our head every day. And Tolley, I forget his first name, but he said that most of those thoughts are negative. 95% of the thoughts that roll through our brains every day, day in and day out, are negative. So by identifying what your values are and then living by those values. Remember Ben Franklin? He had 13 values that he lived by, and every single week he worked on one value, and the next week, and so every 13 weeks he was rolling them over for his whole life. And he said it was a challenge. He said these were the values that he wanted to live by: integrity, honesty, patience, whatever they were. And he worked on those every single day, because if we don't work on it, nothing happens. All right, let's take a look at cultivate a habit of mindfulness. Oh, who will volunteer? A new person volunteer to read this one. Okay.
I think the real miracle is not the walk on water, but to walk on earth. Every day we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, the curious eyes of a child. All this is a miracle. Thich Nhat Hanh.
Anybody know who Thich Nhat Hanh is? Buddhist monk. He was in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and he was an advocate for peace. And nobody wanted him. The North didn't want him. The South didn't want him. The Americans didn't want, because he wanted peace, right? So they wanted war. This guy is an incredible human being. I believe he's still alive. I had the good fortune of being on a 9-day retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh at a Catholic university up in Boston. It's kind of ironic, you know. There's a Catholic university, and Thich Nhat Hanh, this Buddhist, has, and there must have been hundreds of people, hundreds, maybe 500, maybe 800 people. We would go to the big gym where they had sports events and stuff. Everybody was in there meditating. It was the most incredible thing that I've ever experienced in my life. But Thich Nhat Hanh is always about being in the present moment, seeing the glory of the world and creation in front of us. When I pulled out this morning, just a couple miles, and I guess I turned on to Route 1, and the horizon had this reddish, yeah, it was like, oh my God, it was like magnificent. Just imagine taking those moments in all the time. And they're there all the time, but we're busy, you know, driving, texting, listening to turn right, turn left, do this, do that, when we miss those, the beauty of creation right in front of us, right there. Yeah, this morning it was like mind-boggling. It was like, whoa. So mindfulness is just being present. That's all it is. It's being here now, being present in the moment. And think about when you talk to someone and they're listening to you. They're really intently listening. Has anyone ever had that happen to them? Where you go, whether it's with a problem or you're sharing a joyous event, what happens? The what?
They nod their head or in agreeing.
Yeah. How do you feel when some?
Yeah.
Why? Why is it a good feeling for you?
Connection.
Yeah. Who said connection? Yeah, absolutely. It's that connection. Here you go. One gold dollar. Good catch. Yeah, it's the connection. It's that person is totally listening to you and you only, no one else. Everybody else in the room they're all there, but the connection is eyeball to eyeball, heart to heart with you. That's the most powerful gift you can give to anybody. Be here now. Be present, listening to them. A little nodding, a little tell me more, what? And not faking it, but really being there for that person. They won't, where else are they going to get that gift? Very few places in the world. Very few people are really going to be able to give them that gift. So once you do that, you're going to be able to be of great value to them, right? All right, let's look at the number 5, energize your life. Someone volunteer to read that. Okay, go ahead.
Energize your life. Energy is the fuel that drives your motivation engine.
Take one of those.
With more energy, your life and business run much more smoothly. You are in what is known as the flow state, where things seem to happen effortlessly. You are able to accomplish more in less time and with less stress. Identify what gives you energy and spend more time in those areas. Getting rid of energy drainers in one area will make it easier to upgrade to other areas of your life.
Absolutely, thank you. So what is, does that speak to you? How does that speak to you?
positive thoughts just motivate you more
Yes.
to accomplish goals or anything in your path.
Yep, absolutely. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at, we have two worksheets. One, what builds your energy, and one, what drains your energy. So think about and write down, I have to hand the other one out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's all right. Good catch. The other worksheet. So we're going to do this one first. We're going to do what builds your energy, right? Or drains your energy, I'm sorry. What drains your energy? So what are the things that drain your energy? Write them down in the first column, energy drainers, why they drain your energy, and then a plan of action. If you don't know what action you're going to take on it, don't worry about it. But at least 3 to 5 what drains your energy and why does it drain your energy. Everybody good? Questions? You know what drains your energy, right? People, places, things, circumstances. Negative energy just zaps the life out of you. What people, places, events, self-centered people, narcissists, egomaniacs, suck the energy out of you. Try to get your energy drainers down first. While some of you are stuck, can we share some of those? Anybody? Just shout out some of your energy drainers. Rude people. Okay, what else? Negative people. What else? Clutter. Yep. What else? Unorganization. Yep. What else? Driving. Amen. Recycle drama. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Lazy people. Yep. What else? What do you think, Brianna?
I'd say about not having enough sleep.
Not having enough sleep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's, again, we live in a world of research, and they're saying you have to have sleep. Sleep deprivation is not good for you. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Impatience. All right. What else?
Breaking a commitment. Thank you.
Breaking a commitment. Yeah. Someone making a commitment to you and breaking it.
Or me breaking
Breaking your own commitment. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So think about, we're gonna move to what builds your energy, but take that with you and then think about why do we have why in the middle of the column here? Why is it what?
She needs to know why.
What's the trigger?
Yeah, the why will give you the emotional connection and the reason why to fix it, hopefully. Why does this bother you? And then is it something that you need to do, or a circumstance, what do you need to do personally? Because who is the only person in the world you can control? You. Yeah, right. So we want to look at that. Now, the second form that you have that I just handed out is build your energy. So so in the first column, it's energy builder, again, why, and what's your plan of action to build that energy. So all day long, we're using our energy, right? So how do we refuel the tank, right? How far does your car go without any gasoline? It's a trick question. It doesn't go anywhere. And we as human beings, when we run our batteries down, we don't go anywhere. So what do you need to do to recharge your batteries? What gives you energy? What hobbies or people or things, circumstances, what really magnifies your energy for you? So take a moment and write down all the things that will give you energy. All right, let's go. Let's have some ideas on what builds your energy. What gives you energy?
I'll say one before I leave, running in the morning.
Running in the morning. Okay. Great, great. What else?
Meditation.
Meditation. Okay. What else?
A bath.
Oh,
Nice, cooling.
yeah, beautiful. Okay. What else?
I put sunny days. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sunny days?
Yes.
Yeah. Good, good.
Smiles.
Yes. What's it cost? Nothing. And I mean, when you even hold doors open at like Wawa and stuff, people like,
Considerate people.
yeah, like,
Actions.
yeah, they're like shocked a lot of times. Like that somebody held the door. It's not a big deal. And yet that smile, you got $1 million smile, by the way. Yeah, I mean, that smile, that holding the door open, little things, little acts of kindness, they go a long way with people. What else? What other things build your energy?
Reaching goals or surpassing them.
Yes. Having goals, reaching them, surpassing them.
Dogs.
Yes. How do you spell dog backwards? Right. Yeah. Yep. A lot of truth to that. I mean, in most cases, right? What kind of dog do you have?
I have 3. I have 2 Yorkies and a Cocker Spaniel.
Okay. And are they happy to see you when you come
Oh
home?
my God, yeah. They're so cute.
Yeah.
It builds my energy.
Yeah, it's like endless love, right? There's no question about it. Cleaning, okay. I'll give that one to you.
Music.
Music.
I have to have good music. I'm always like, I can't listen to this. It's dragging me down, and I'm always
Yeah.
back in the salon too.
Okay.
I do it in their salon too.
Yeah. And you think about it, music is, there are a few things that can really shift people quickly, and music is one of them. Someone else over here, yeah.
Having great attitudes, like everybody around you having a great attitude.
Yes. And we'll talk about the next slide, how to help them have that great attitude too. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When I'm organized, I just feel like, 'cause a lot of times being a manager, a parent, and everything, like if I have I don't get as overwhelmed and I bounce around and then I feel more accomplished. It's like,
Right.
okay, I gotta do this, and it keeps my energy going upwards rather than kind of defeat myself.
Yes. Excellent.
Positive team players.
Yes, for sure. Why are positive team players important?
It helps everyone like grow together and everyone
Yeah.
can problem solve together.
Yeah.
Makes it more fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. It has a synergistic effect, right? And it's like spreads out to everybody in the organization. You can't help. And then if you have someone with a negative attitude, what happens?
It brings everyone down.
Right. So what do you need to do with that person?
Put their frown upside down.
Yeah, I like it. Or give them another opportunity to share that negative attitude someplace else. Because the challenge is, for all of us, it's very difficult to, negative people tend to drag everybody down. Positive people don't necessarily, mostly lift negative people up, do they? No. Right. But happy people around other happy people can elevate the mood, elevate the energy, elevate everything. So it's really important. You have a bad apple in the basket, they're all going to get bad. So you have to make a decision. If you can't coach them and move them along in a positive way, then you got to make a decision. All right. So these, yes.
I just want to share something.
Yep.
We had like random different acts of kindness I put down too.
Yeah.
We actually had in the salon, you know how like you're just in Starbucks or wherever, somebody pays for your coffee behind you.
Mm-hmm.
We had that happen with haircuts one time. Where somebody actually paid, it was like 5 people that paid for, like, somebody started it, and then we're like, no, your haircut's free today. They're like, what, the last person that just left, which they couldn't even thank them because they already left.
Right.
Paid for haircuts. So it happened like 5 different people. It was pretty cool. It was really neat.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, it is. People like, they just have no idea. Yeah, that's awesome. And that's even, I think, more powerful because you can't thank them. You don't even know who did it, right? Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else? These 2 exercises I would encourage you to do again and again and again, because you need to identify where the energy goes that drains you and get rid of that, plug that leak up. But then really, like, how do I get more energy? How do I get what things can I do that will give me more energy, right? New hobbies, hanging out with the right people, whatever. All right, let's look at the next one is being a good finder and an encourager. Volunteer to read. Rebecca, do you want to read that slide?
Often we allow ourselves to be upset by small things we should despise and forget. We lose many irreplaceable hours brooding over grievances that in a year's time will be forgotten by us and by everybody. No, let us devote our life to worthwhile actions and feelings to great thoughts, real affections, and enduring undertakings.
Right. So how do we become a good finder?
Well, I just started to try to live by this, even though it's kind of hard, but I've been catching myself. If it's not going to bother you in 5 years, it wouldn't bother you for more than 5 minutes. So I've been trying to like do that, but it's kind of hard because I dwell on things.
Right.
But I've been catching myself, so.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And if when people do something wrong, whatever, the cash register with a guest, whatever, we catch that pretty quickly, right? But do we catch when they're doing something right? When they're making progress, when they're right? That's the key to this. It's instead of we're always looking for, and I think it's part of our growing up too, like what's wrong, who did it wrong, you did it wrong, start to look for what people are doing right and then give them positive feedback on that, no matter what it is, whether it's an interaction with a guest, whether it's a cut, maybe a guest says, talks about how great they feel their hair looks, and then somebody, and it could be peer-to-peer, it could be manager to employee, it doesn't matter, but you go over, anybody can go over and say, wow, that was really great, that you got that great feedback, and they loved the way you did that, whatever. But if you start to look, even with your kids, right, and friends, look for all the things that are going right. Again, what happens to us internally?
Makes it better.
Yeah, we shift with that shift from always being finding, these have to be this way, they can't be, instead of looking for
Positive reinforcement.
yeah, and positive reinforcement will move people forward faster than anything. You could beat them up, beat the crap out of them, and it's just very few people respond to that. In fact, they typically respond worse than if you find something good and then build on that and build on that and build on that. And I've seen people turn employees around, turn companies around by just focusing on their core values, the culture, and then who in the seats or in the company are helping move that forward, and then they give them positive feedback on that and recognize that. Yeah.
I've seen where, positive feedback, going and talking to my managers have been a tool for them to rid of their anxiety. So I don't necessarily focus on what's wrong with the salon. I focus on positivity.
Yeah.
And then I'll slip in, you want to change these shelves or something?
Yeah.
But the positivity, I've seen it
Sure.
diminish.
It
works. It works.
Yeah, it does. It's very, very powerful. Look, as human beings, one of our deepest desires is to be appreciated, to be acknowledged, to just be acknowledged that we exist, that we are another human being and a wonderful, unique human being. And when you're a good finder and you start to acknowledge the little, they can be the littlest things. Again, interaction with the way they keep their area in the salon, right? You're all responsible for that area, your chair in that area. The way they do that and just constantly give them positive feedback. Mother Teresa said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them. And if you're judging them about all the things they're doing wrong, you have no time to love them. And love and fear cannot exist in the same state of mind. One will, that's why love is so powerful. But it's very challenging, especially when you're running an organization and people need to be in on time and they need to do those things, right? But if people are late, let's say somebody comes in late habitually, and they come in 10 minutes late, and today they come in 5 minutes late. Give them positive feedback on that. Don't beat them up for still being late, right? So, that's really great. How did you do that way? And I've taken employees from late to on time to early just by, now, it's a pain in the neck. It takes time because you got to constantly be giving them this positive feedback, but it works. It works, and that's what you need to do, because the world is full of critics. Everyone can be a critic, right? All the baseball, football, hockey, basketball players, right? They get paid millions and millions of dollars, and then on the sports talk radio on the day after the game, you got all these people calling in, giving feedback on these, 10, 20, $30 million players, right? What do they know? Really, what do they, I mean, if they were that good, wouldn't they either be playing or coaching themselves? But lots of people want to be a critic, right? That whoever should be doing this, that, or the other thing. And it doesn't get anywhere. All right, let's look at the next area, our self-talk. Psychologists tell us that we have 50 to 60,000 messages going through our head on a daily basis. And I Googled this and I continue to check it, and that's what it is. Most of those are negative or have a negative thread to them, and they're repeated over and over. I think you said like the drama wheel going around. Well, that's what happens to our self-talk. So we should start to be aware and listen to our self-talk and start to plant seeds for new and improved self-talk to go where we want to go, to get us to go where we want to go. What would be some of the things you could do to improve your self-talk right now?
Just be aware of it.
Be aware of it, and then?
Change it.
Then change it, absolutely. And where would you get ideas to change it from?
Just the opposite. Or you could just go the straight opposite of what you were thinking.
Okay, got an example?
Like I might think like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that.
Yes.
So I could change it by saying, oh well, next case scenario, I'll say this instead.
Perfect, exactly. That's a great example. Any time, no matter where we are, in traffic or here or there, and we start to go down that negative avenue, change it to a question. What can I do to interact better with guests or with customers or with employees or whatever, with my children? What can I say? What questions can I ask my children to get them engaged, right? What'd you learn in school today? Nothing. How was school today? Terrible or okay? What the hell,
It just reminds me, I have a 13-month-old, and we're learning how to use a fork right now. And so I'll preload the fork and hand it to her.
Yeah.
And she puts it in her mouth, and then I go, yay! And now whenever she does it, she automatically drops the fork now and claps her hands before I even start to go, good job!
Right.
So it cracks me up. It's like making me think of her, how I'm teaching her how to do things.
Right.
And I'm, instead of like going, no, don't do it this way, every time she does it right, I don't even acknowledge when she does something wrong. I just say, yay, good job, do it again.
Right.
And then I hand her the fork and she does it again, she automatically drops it and claps her hands.
Right.
That's what it's reminding me of, is me teaching my 13-month-old how to build that up to learn how to do the things that she's never learned how to do before.
Right. And imagine doing that to all your employees.
Yeah.
The same idea, where would they go, right? Think about it. Really powerful. So listen to your self-talk, identify what it is, and then change it. Then look for ways. Also, books like, reading. Fill in your mind with, there's tons and tons of good quotes in here. Pick out a quote that resonates with your heart, that speaks to you, that like, I just opened it up right here. Happiness consists in the attainment of our desires and in having only right desires, St. Augustine. But there's all kinds of, everybody you can think of. Andrew Carnegie's in here and philosophers and stuff, but it just, here's one from Shakespeare. The love of heaven makes one heavenly, right? But if it resonates with you, use it. Put it in your toolbox. I have a great question that I write down in my planner every day so I remember to ask it. What choice can I make? An action can I take in this moment to create the greatest net value? And I keep asking that question, so I keep my eyesight, my ear sight, everything focused on value. Am I creating value? Is this workshop creating value? Are you going to walk out of here with one or two good ideas that you can implement, that you can take some action on, right? That can help change your life, move the needle in a more positive direction a little bit. So that's what that question I keep asking myself over and over. But I need to answer that too. I can't just be like an automatic question where it's like an endless loop tape and I never answer the question, I never create value. I have to be creating value, okay? So the next one is simplify, simplify, simplify. We live in a world of overabundance, and we got everybody trying to sell us their stuff, right? I mean, the world is just full of every marketeer in the world trying to get us to buy their products. And more is never enough. More is never enough. So what do you need to do to make sure that you simplify your life, okay? And this is Henry David Thoreau. This is like 100 years ago, right? So number one is declutter your life. Get rid of all of the non-essentials, the things that don't bring you joy, don't bring you happiness. You've collected them for whatever reason, right? And they're stacked up, and now you got to clean them, or you got to do this, or you got to do that to maintain them. Another way to simplify your life is just say no. How many of you say yes to every committee? Okay, right? Yeah, I'll be on that committee. I'll do this for the community. I'll do this for the church. I'll be on whatever, right? You need energy to do that. So the best way to keep that energy is go only on the adventures that you want to go on. That will be a win-win, right, for everybody. So so think about what you can just say no to. Balance your wheel of life. We're the wheel of life. We're all the areas of our wheel of life: our health, our business, our career, our mental, our educational. We have to feed all those areas. Otherwise, that wheel becomes flat, right? And it just drags along. So we want to keep that wheel as round as possible. Avoid procrastination of little things. Do it or dump it. You figure out or delay it. Like say, okay, I'm not going to do this now, but I'm going to do it in June, and then move it forward and get it off your plate. What happens with all that to-do list stuff that we keep, whatever, moving to the next day or the next week or whatever, that we don't get done?
Hurts our brains.
Yeah, that's true too. That could become a really big thing, or it.
It brings you down, like, obviously, as you're not doing it, you know you're breaking that commitment, and it's
Yeah.
hurting you.
Right. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, Julia. I think I have one more gold dollar here. There you go. Good catch. Okay. It's like a slow leak, right? It takes the energy away. Then you stop at the gas station, fill the tire up again, and you a couple more days, fill the tire up again. It's a perpetual leak of your energy. And when that happens, eventually you burn out. You just don't have any more energy. So great insight. Eliminate toxic relationships. Eliminate them. So sometimes some of our family might be in that category. So we go to the party late and we leave early, right? Do whatever it takes, though, to get out of those. If you have people that think about people who are constantly negative and they're not helping you, they're naysayers. Oh, that goal's too big. Why should you do this? Why should you do that? They're no help in your life. They're not going to help you or themselves get to where they want. So you want to eliminate them from your life. All right, number 9, create a success team. So Andrew Carnegie was the richest, in today's dollars, would be the richest person in the world. And he started the steel, or he didn't start the steel business, but he made all his money in the steel business, even made more money than Rockefeller in the oil business. So he was the wealthiest man in the world. And one of the keys that he found to his success was creating a group of people around him. He called that group a mastermind of people who would help support him on his goals. So they would meet whatever. They would meet monthly or quarterly or weekly. They would come together as a team and brainstorm and support each other. So I want you to think about, I'll give you a 3x5 card and just write on it success team and start to write some names down. Who would be some people that would be great for you to have on your success team? Who would be some go-to people? They could be mentors or friends or whatever. But you want to pick out someone, obviously, that's going to be very supportive of your goals and where you want to go, and someone that you can share those goals with. Because the naysayers of the world are certainly not going to help you get there, right? So pick out and write on that 3x5 card a couple of people that would be candidates that you would want to ask to help you achieve your goals, okay? All right, can we have a couple of volunteers, not necessarily names, but maybe what, who those people are, like how do you relate to them?
I feel like each person on my team needs to have a purpose, so they're good for different reasons.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any of those reasons?
So, for example, my aunt, she's really great at bringing me back down to earth. When I'm like going crazy, I got 100 ideas and I just know I can do it and I'm doing it right now. She's like, all right, take one step at a time.
Okay,
You
good.
know, and she's helping
Yeah.
me form my plan of action.
Okay, good. So different people in different areas of your life. Great, okay.
You want to know who I picked or why I picked them?
Well, like why or what,
Okay.
yeah.
So, like, everybody that I picked has,
Yeah.
like, different, like, traits.
Yes,
so
yes.
I can get different advice from everybody and different reactions from everybody because
Right.
I don't want to be, like, baby, but I want to
Right.
I want to get good advice from it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, exactly. Like, constructive criticism, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Important feedback. Good. Yes?
Just someone you can vent to, and they'll just listen to you, you know, and maybe offer positive feedback, maybe just there to listen and just let you vent and not say anything afterwards. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, I have a friend that can do that. I'm like, all right, that's it, all right, I'm done, bye.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, that, like seriously, but.
How powerful is that? Think about it. I encountered this years ago, and I was shocked. A good friend of mine said, do you want me to listen and give you feedback, or do you want me to just listen? And I was like, I never heard somebody just listening before. And now, when we interact, I'll take option A or option B, because sometimes I'll want his feedback. And other times I'll be like, no, I need to go on a rant for 5 minutes. I need to get it all out. And he's like totally cool with it. And I never, that was such a breakthrough for me. So yeah, think about the people that you want on your list. If you don't know the names, maybe what areas of life they're from. You probably don't want to go to somebody for health advice who smokes 2 packs of Marlboros a day, drinks 2 or 3 6-packs of beer and a quart of vodka a day, doesn't do any exercise, right? And sits in front of the TV. The biggest exercise they do is pick up the remote all day long and flip channels, right? So you want to pick the right people out, and you certainly don't want to pick the naysayers out. Constructive feedback is way different than being a naysayer. So think about it. Who are the go-to people that you can have, like you were saying, your mom and stuff? People that can be kind of on that team, and maybe even bring them together as a group. And say, hey, we're going to meet once a month, or once a quarter, or once a year, and just talk. Meet as a group and talk about goals and where I want to go and how we can support each other. Okay, so that's an option. All right, let's look at number 10, cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Can I get a volunteer to read that? Smiley, the $1 million smile.
Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, confusion into clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast. Sorry, I can't see.
Okay.
house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow.
It's a mouthful, without a doubt, but it's so, so true. Right after 9/11, I was signed up to do a week-long workshop, or to take a week-long workshop in Wisconsin. And everybody was bailing out because, you know, they didn't want to fly and stuff. And fortunately, we had enough people. In fact, our core group from here was like 5 people, and we had enough, and the gentleman said he'll run the workshop, right? So we were all like, hey, this is probably the best time to fly, is right after, right? So we flew out there. And anyway, the very first day, this was like a 5 or 7 day workshop. There were long days, and we were going to be there. It was on speaking and neuro-linguistic programs. It was a jam-packed week. But at the end, at dinner, at the first day at dinner, he said, I want all of you, and it's a retreat center in Wisconsin. I'll never forget, it's a beautiful place. He said, I want you all to take either your journals, if you have them, or paper, whatever. But I want you to go out and walk the property and just notice everything. And then I want you, at the end of the day, to write down everything you're grateful for and fill up a whole sheet. Fill up like a whole sheet of gratitudes. First time in my life that I was ever exposed, this was like 20 years ago, that I was exposed to that idea. I don't know why, I don't know why it didn't come earlier, but that workshop, I did that exercise every day, and then I started doing that exercise almost every single day after that for the next 20 years. And it was, it's, you can't help but get more things that you're grateful for when you're doing that exercise. And it can be the air that we breathe, it can be the water that we're drinking, it can be the electricity that turns the power on in our house. I mean, there's so many things that we do. Our dogs, I mean, so many things. We had 2 Labradors forever, and they were the most loving, they were just unbelievable. And they went on that list every day, Zoe and Charlie Brown, Zoe and Charlie, every single day. The kids went on most of the time, but Zoe and Charlie were, every day they went on, right? And there was no days without, if you look at my, and I have all those journals, I just would fill them up and throw them on a shelf, fill them up, throw them on a shelf, fill them up. And I swear to God that move from entitlement, or I got to have, or more, to gratitude shifted everything in my life. Everything became an opportunity for gratitude. My clients, my friends, everything opened up to be more grateful. The more you have to be grateful, the more you're grateful for. That's why when I went to El Salvador, that was the first trip like to a third world country. I've been to Europe and other, first world countries, but when I came back, I'll never forget in my gratitude list, hot shower. No hot showers in El Salvador. Able to drink water out of the spigot. You dare not drink water. In fact, we were staying with a nun, there was about 30 of us, and she said, sealed bottle of water, that's all you drink, and you brush your teeth with sealed bottle of water, and when you get one of these lousy cold showers, you jump in, you get wet, you jump out, soap up, and rinse off. You don't spend, because the water was so bad, you don't want to take a chance of getting that water in you. There was all kinds of things. Man, when I came back from that trip, it was like, yeah, we got a house, we got windows in the house, we could drink water out of the spigot. It was an endless list of things that we take for granted every single day. And then when you look around the globe with 7 billion other people, maybe they don't have those things to take for granted. So it's a powerful exercise. Again, it's an exercise that'll help you move to a more positive attitude.
So
Mindy.
I try to stand in a grateful posture every day, right?
Yep.
And I notice that when I go through, like, what am I grateful for? And like recently, it's been just little buds on the trees as I drive down the highway, right? Spring is coming, and I can see it and I can appreciate it. That as I do that, my heart and my spirit begins to fill and be happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how I get my happy.
Yeah.
If I'm grateful, and any time when I'm not, when I'm not happy, when perhaps I'm angry, I'm not grateful when I'm angry.
Right.
It's like it's impossible to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Love and fear can't
Right.
exist in the same place. Yeah,
Right.
gratitude and anger.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Can't have both.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would highly recommend writing them, not just, I mean, that's a great exercise. That's better than nothing. But when you write them, writing crystallized thought motivates action. It makes it more concrete, more real. Oh.
Ironically, I grew up, and it's like the main thing that I remember. And I find sometimes that people are uncomfortable with me, saying, wow, I'm grateful for you or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it centers me.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I have to release that energy because
Yeah.
I grew up, right
Yeah.
now. We
That-
got water, we got this, I got my dogs.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it was one of those things where at the time I thought it was a punishment, but she was really instilling something in me
Yeah.
that in today's time people aren't comfortable with.
Yeah.
But I have to release that energy.
I'd steal her idea, write that on here. What a powerful way to, because usually we get beat up. I went to Catholic school and I had to write like 500 times. Shouldn't have done this and that, But writing your gratitudes, what a way to, again, change your perspective. Here's this next one I think is really powerful. Develop a proper perspective, okay? So I was going on an 8-day retreat last summer, a silent retreat, and a client of mine, we were talking about a week before, and he said, oh my God, if you're going on a retreat, you have to watch this Netflix series called One Strange Rock. And it's about the astronauts that spend like months in space, and they're looking at this purple Earth, right? And you want to talk about perspective. That's not even a 30,000 foot perspective. I don't know how many miles out space is, right? But when and every one of them, this was a series, right? And you'd listen to them and the stories, and it was unbelievable how important perspective is. So if we're close to something, anger, right, or whatever, we don't have much perspective. But the perspective from being out here in space and looking at the Earth is incredible. So develop proper perspective on everything. Is this a fight worth fighting? Is this, and this kind of talks to what you were talking about before. I got this from Brene Brown. It's called the 5-5-5 rule. I love this. I heard it on one of her tapes. Brene Brown said that ask yourself this question: is this going to be a big deal? Whatever this is, right? An argument we're having, traffic, the person texting, 40 miles an hour. Is this going to be a big deal in 5 minutes, 5 months, or 5 years? What does that do for you? Yeah, maybe in 5 minutes it'll still be aggravating me, but certainly not in 5 months, or certainly not in 5 years. Yes. Making the real distinction between what really matters most in life and what matters least or not at all. And I find that we get so hung up on what doesn't matter or what matters least. We're so concerned with that instead of the big important things. What really matters. And that's where perspective comes in too, because if you're looking through a lens like this, what really changes what really matters most, what's important, who's important, versus being right in front of your nose. So think about that. Develop an attitude of positive expectation. Again, I was at a workshop. I heard the speaker say, I always get a parking lot right in the front of anywhere I'm going. I was like, I never get a parking spot in the front. I got to walk 5 miles, right? So I started just saying, you know what? That's it. I'm just going to shift my thinking. And then I would always think, I'm going to get a parking spot. I'm going to get a parking spot. I'm going to get a parking spot. And then I would tell that to everybody. So when I didn't get that parking spot, my wife was with me or somebody was with me. Oh, yeah, see, that's all bullshit, right? I'm like, yeah, you know what? Not really, because I got here just too early. And I make one round in the parking lot and come back and get a spot. Now, I don't go around all day long till I get it, but 9 out of 10 times I'm getting a spot right there. I went to a networking meeting in Philly years ago. I was running late, and it was right in downtown, all the traffic and everything. And I'm like, and it was like, it wasn't near like parking lots and stuff. I don't know where I'm going to park it, and I'm late. Anyway, I get there. I pull right up in front of the building we're supposed to be at. Someone just pulls out, and I pull in. Right there. I mean, here, and there's the door. And I swear to God, that happens 9 out of 10 times, over and over. Positive expectation. We go into anything, a meeting, a this or that. If we have a positive expectation, we're more likely to walk out of the meeting with some good stuff. If we go in with a negative expectation, we're most likely to walk out with that too. Because again, our brain, the research shows, will go to help us fulfill what what we're looking for in life. So expectation theory is really important. All right, I'm going to give you, grab a couple of these sheets and pass them down. Celebrate your successes. So this is a great exercise to do every single day, is just write down, grab another one, thank you, every accomplishment you have, every success you have, no matter how small. It doesn't have to be the grand slam home run. It doesn't have to be the $50 tip. It can be anything, and it can be small, and just write it down every day, and then write why it's a success and what's the next action step. What's the value of this exercise for you?
To see, you should learn to see what you accomplish.
Yeah?
And
And what else?
Appreciation and gratefulness.
Yeah, yeah. It certainly works in that same genre of gratefulness. When we start writing down little things that we accomplish, it's a positive focus in our life, right? We're moving more towards the positive than all the things that went wrong. Oh my God, I had the guest stiffed me or didn't tip me or this or that, or the kids did this, or whatever, right? When you start to move in this direction, why, and then the next action step, again, you start to build a spiral in the positive direction. You're now at the end of the day, or even during the day, take these with you, make copies, and have them available so you can fill them in between guests or whatever, anytime, on the weekend. And then get the family to share these. Okay, what successes did you have today? What successes did you have today? Why was that a success? What's your next action step? The next action step keeps the momentum going, right? And every time you do this exercise, again, like gratitude, you find more things to be grateful for, more accomplishments. You're looking for what are all the little things that went right today? I mean, there's always things that don't go right? You don't have to look far for them. But I don't think we take enough time to celebrate our successes. We celebrate the big ones, right? The birthdays and the big birthdays. We don't even celebrate, after a certain age, you don't even celebrate every birthday. You just celebrate every 10 years or 5, whatever, the big ones. So this bringing celebration into your life every single day in every way possible is a powerful exercise. All right, extreme self-care. So what are some ideas that would be good for you to do to take care of yourself? I'm going to pass out some cards here so you can write some ideas. So if you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, what would be some of the things you would do that would really be extreme self-care for you? How would you take care of yourself? Yes?
Take a vacation.
Take a vacation. Okay. So let's capture some of these if they resonate to you. What else?
Pedicures every week.
Yeah, pedicures every week. There you go. What else? Massage. Yeah. Absolutely. What else?
I would go to a retreat, probably Tony Robbins.
Okay, Tony Robbins retreat. Okay, awesome.
Chef
A chef?
that cooks healthy food for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, beautiful. What else?
Go to church.
Go to church? Yep, okay. What else?
something as simple as just like waking up and like doing your makeup or something, just so you
Right.
feel good about yourself.
Yeah. Yep. And while you're doing that, whether it's makeup or exercise or shower, you can also bring in some of these other practices, positive self-talk or some quotations that resonate with you, right? Have them around. I went to a massage therapist one time. It was phenomenal. When I lived up in Bucks County, she was in Doylestown, and I used her restroom. The entire bathroom, rather, was just full with quotes. The entire, everywhere you looked, it was like all positive. Yeah, your whole salon's like that?
No, it's gonna be when she's
Oh.
done. The bathroom,
Yeah.
break room,
But
all
you,
the stations.
yeah. Think about it, though. I mean, in most cases, I mean, walk by all of the newspapers when you go to Wawa today, and just look at the headlines, right? You're going to be you're going to be hard pressed to find something good going on, right? And even if it's like not so bad, and because what do they used to say? If it bleeds, it leads on the 11 o'clock news, when TV was like before the internet and all. But that's true, because it's got to be sensationalism. And we live in a world with so much social media and so much stuff coming at us that the sensationalism has to be cranked up even more and more and more. So like the old, whatever was sensationalism 10, 20, 30 years ago, that doesn't cut it. We need big sensationalism. We just can't have the robbery or the murder in Philly, right? We have to have like the catastrophe around the globe. And we have to be aware of that. So tying what do you want to be saying to yourself all the time? Tying that self-talk into a morning exercise. So think about what would be cool things to do that would really take care of you, and then start to put them in your life. When am I going to get the next pedicure or manicure or whatever? Just keep going down that list and say, I'm going to schedule that. The massage. Yes.
I always think, like, I'm one of those people that I have to voice how I feel, even if it has nothing to do with, like, Meg. I'll call her and be like, I just gotta get this out. I just have to talk. So, like, releasing my emotions, like how I'm feeling, even if it's, like, totally irrelevant, that just makes me feel so much better.
Yeah.
So, like, self-care, like, it is internal, too.
Yeah, it is, because it's cathartic, too. You're getting rid of it. Yes.
So my husband's a police officer, and he has a really tough job. So one of the things that I do.
No good news stories there, huh?
Yeah. And he works with kids. He actually works at a juvenile department right now. And one of the things that I do is I will literally take like an old like lipstick tube and I write things like on our bathroom mirror every day. So because like he works nights, so like when he goes into the bathroom, he'll turn it on and there's like stupid like little things like all over the mirror, because he comes home and it's like he sees such awful things all day long.
Right.
Like it's that I have to, when he comes home, I don't want him to bring that home. And that
Right.
was one of the things that I said when we got married, that I was like, you can't bring it home. We have a 13-month-old little girl. Like, you can't. So that was one of the things that when he de-stresses, he comes home, I have like things written in lipstick, like all over our mirror.
Yeah.
So,
And imagine the stress that he's carrying.
yeah.
Right? And Okay. Let's look at Emerson's law of compensation. Simply says that the more that we give in life, the more we get back. The more that we give, and whether it's working in the soup kitchen, whether it's anything that we're giving and being of service to another human being, we're going to get back more than that. And typically it's like 10 times more than that. So the more you do, the more you volunteer. And volunteering, again, is just so powerful to get us to stop thinking about where we are and helping somebody else. Set goals. I could spend 4 hours on this, and hopefully we'll do that in the future, but you got to have goals. You have to have a direction. You got to know where you're going. Otherwise, you might end up where you don't want to end up pretty quickly. Forgiveness. This is a huge part of our life that can trip us up. If we have resentments against other people and we don't forgive them, and we don't have to forgive them face to face, but we have to do, the forgiveness is for us way more than it is for the other person. Resentments is like you drinking the poison and expecting them to die. And that's not a good thing. So resentments will take us out. Lack of forgiveness will take us out. So we need to figure out ways to forgive people. And they don't even need to necessarily know about it, right? We don't need to reconcile and do those things. We just need to forgive them. And then that opens up space for us in our brains. Prayer and meditation is huge. It's just so important every day. Whatever your practice is, to have some meditation practice, some prayer practice. Any religion is good. It just really, what happens in prayer? Who does prayer change? Us, exactly. It changes us. And so it's important And the meditation obviously has all kinds of benefits, from less stress, lowering your blood pressure and things like that, making you more present. And if you have a meditation practice and you meditate 1 or 2 periods a day for 20 or 30 minutes, it'll actually start to change the brain chemistry, the neural pathways in your brain. And that's pretty powerful because, again, they do all the research. They plug in all the Tibetan monks and everything with ways to measure their brain, and they see the change in it over years, and it's all for the positive. So it's a great practice. It's a win-win for you, for sure, and it's a win-win for everybody around you. You're more calm and everything. So fail forward. Failing is not failing, it's learning what didn't work. It's simply feedback. And the more we can be okay with it, that's why I say failing forward, is you're looking at what are the stepping stones to get me to where I want to go, okay? And how can I do that? Really, really important. Number 20, what do you think? What would be something maybe we haven't talked about yet to change and develop a more positive attitude?
I think what was really important to me that I recently learned is about the law of abundance. That in growing yourself, you don't have to feel bad about it because you're not taking away from anyone else. So, like, getting better, they can also get better. You're not dragging them down. You're not taking from them. They have that opportunity just as much as you do, and that's abundant for everyone.
Yeah, yep, absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Anybody else?
Mayor, I had to learn the hard way that the negative thoughts in my brain speak to me in my own voice. And that's very tricky for me, right? Because the negativity, and I'm buying right into it.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, learning that, and I can say to myself, oh, no.
Right.
You know, like, you're crazy, this is, because it sounds all reasonable.
Yeah, right.
It sounds really good.
Yeah.
And it speaks to me, and it sounds real familiar. It's me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a way to do this, challenge it just like you're doing.
Right.
So wait a minute, let me ask a different question, or how true is that? No, that's not true.
Right.
Yeah.
Or how
good.
will this end?
Yeah, right. If I keep going down this path,
Right.
Yep. Anyone else? A great way to develop positive attitude. Okay, we're going to close with this quote. Attitude, the longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think, say, or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It'll make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding our attitude that we embrace that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. So I hope this has been helpful. I'd like to get if you guys could just do a little evaluation very quickly on the workshop. Give me as little or as much info as you want on your name and stuff, or just put your name, whatever. But just give me some feedback. That will help us to make sure we're hitting on the right points or doing the right thing.
Are these books to stay or to take?
They are for you. They are my gift to you. You're very welcome. Yep. They are my gift to you.